Make some noise for your host, Kid Copious.
What up, perps? Kid Copious back in the bunker. Purple State Party. America. Common sense. Somewhere in the center. Yeehaw. Let's get this started. We got some breaking news right here. I just got something on my Twitter feed. Apparently, even though Biden's White House fired 5 people for previous marijuana use, that's not slowing down Schumer in the Senate. Apparently, they're going to plow ahead because they want that massive tax dollars that are going to come off of pot. Knowing this, of course, living in California, at least half the pot that's sold is not being taxed because, they can't enforce laws here. So they can't enforce tax laws. Can't get their shit together, period. So, yeah, that'll benefit the cartels because the cartels can operate in legally now. They can just keep selling their weed. It doesn't solve anything because the taxes are too damn high. 30% total here in California. You know, they use those excise taxes, you know. They like that kind of stuff. Woo! Mandibles are really kicking in right now. So deep breaths. All right, here we go. So, start this off here, and this is the theme of the show. I like to do it every week this way. You know, this is the theme. Why do professional athletes think I should care about what they think? If I wanted advice from somebody who chases a ball, I'd ask my dog. Yeah, and that's where we're at right now. You know, athletes, actors, you know, celebrities of different sorts. You know, they can say whatever they want. They can boycott whatever they want. They've got the money to get around all this crap. You know, anything, you know, when it comes to like the high cost of like electricity or, you know, alternative fuels and all of this kind of, you know, taxes and shit. They can afford it. You and I can't. We know this. You know, but they can say whatever they want. They're not like musicians who put it down on paper and put it in a song and it's kind of locked there. These people could change. I mean, a good example of change is, you know, Barack Obama in 2008 was all for the Defense of Marriage bill, which basically outlawed gay and lesbian marriages. He was for it. Then culture changed and he changed his opinion because he never really put it down in writing or anything like that. That's the problem we have now. It's there on video. I mean, you can look it up. You don't have to take my word for it. You can look it up. Barack was, you know, against gay marriages, you know. That's the truth. But they, you know, they could change. And athletes, you know, man, like MLB and the NBA, you know, they choose the side of China. I don't know what I'm supposed to do. I mean, there's, you know, you could be a vegan. You could be a member of PETA. You know, you could be a Scientologist. And I'm going to be like, all right, whatever. Like, I could probably get by that. But siding with China? No, I can't. You know, siding with China, being a racist, being a wife-beaten asshole. There's some things you just can't, you know, I can't get behind. I can't sit there and support the Zodiac killer and go, yay, go Zodiac. Some things are wrong. They're just that wrong. And that's what the media says about, you know, the center and the right. You know, they say they're wrong, so we're just gonna lie and cover up whatever good they do and highlight the bad and then cover up the bad that our side does. So if they want to play that game, fine, whatever. But some things are just wrong. They just are. And siding with China is one of them. And that's basically what they've done. And they're also siding with lying. You know, which, you know, the press pointed that out. Of course, the press is starting to wear down, and they are pointing it out, as we'll see, about the left and their lies. So, you know, this is all about election fraud, you know, and election voter suppression, you know. And, you know, honestly, look back on what we just went through. And mail-in ballots that were just collected willy-nilly, not verified, could have come from anywhere, could have been, you know, the same person could have voted 100, 1,000 times. If you got your hands on ballots, you could vote that many times. That's the reality of it. And I said it before, man. I said it before the election. That one side was going to claim foul. If Trump had won, the left would be claiming foul. You know, and we're trying to tighten those things up. And proving who you are and having systems in place that make sure you only vote once One vote, one person, one vote, however you want to say it. Well, this is important shit, man. This isn't like American Idol crap. You know? So Biden comes out and says, oh, this makes Jim Crow look like Jim Eagle. Oh, okay. No, it doesn't. There's nothing in the Georgia law that it suppresses anybody's votes. There was an issue about Sunday voting, and the Republicans compromised and said, okay, we're going to allow Sunday voting. If blacks in that area traditionally do a church/voting day, like, okay, cool, like whatever. Like, we're not trying to suppress anybody's vote. We're just trying to set some sort of limitations so we don't have to go through this again where the election can be called into question. And should be, really. I mean, honestly, you know, I might have said, like, oh, just get over it if Trump had won. I might have said that, but in my heart I would have known, like, dude, this thing was so willy-nilly. How can I expect anybody to accept it? You know, if you think voter ID is racist, but vaccine passport is just fine, you need some serious help thinking through public policy. And yes, that's what they're doing. They want you to have to prove that you got vaccinated to do certain things, to maybe even work, maybe to collect benefits. Who knows how far it can go? You know, you could lose your rights as a citizen for not having a vaccination ID. But when it comes to voters, well, just whatever. If somebody wants to vote twice, let them. Oh, what's the big deal? But which one is actually more racist? Which one is actually going to suppress people's rights? If you take the bus to work every week, but you can't get the vaccination, you're going to have to jump through all these little hoops to prove why you can't get the vaccine. You're going to have some sort of vaccination exempt card. You know, here in California, I have to go out and get a new ID to fly on a plane because our governor started giving out driver's license to illegal aliens. So our driver's license don't meet the qualifications to fly on a plane. I have to go get a new license for that. So I know how that feels. You know, and they're going to do it with the vaccination one. They also did in Texas. Why? Because this is, like it says, easy to vote and hard to cheat. It's the cheating part that we're the most worried about. And let's think about cheating for a second. If you were playing some sort of sport, and one team comes out and says, hey guys, you know, we're going to play this soccer game here, but how about we don't have a referee? You know, we'll just police ourselves on offsides and things like that. First of all, it's going to end up in a fight, right? We're going to call our own fouls. That's going to lead to a fight. That's street ball, man. But think about what that would say. That the team that wants no referee is probably going to cheat more than the team that says, no, let's keep the referee. And that's all these election laws are. It's about refereeing it. If you could point out where it's suppressive, sure, show me. Put it down in the comments. I'd love to hear about it. You can bring your own water. Election officials can set up a water station where every single person is going to stand. And people can get water. But what they don't want is they don't want people coming up with bottles of water and hot dogs that are wrapped in Trump 2020. Cups with Trump 2020 on it. Other people's, the candidates' names on it. Brought to you by the Democratic Party. I mean, that's the kind of stuff that most states have as a law. You can't come up and put out propaganda or try to solicit votes within something like 150 feet of a polling place. That's all it is. That's all it is. I mean, if I'm standing in line, I could hold my mom's place and she can go and buy some water and come back and get in line right next to me. You can have water. The election, the polling place can provide water. It just needs to be nonpartisan and done within a certain box. You guys love checking boxes, so you should love these boxes. You know? See, right there, like when they say it'll suppress black votes, assuming that black people don't have identification is racist AF. See? Because that's what they're subtly saying. I took a diversity class, and it was a video. And all these different cultures and denominations and orientations, they all put their hands in to do the, like the before game thing, and the hand on top was white. In a diversity video, they put the white hand on top. It's a backwards way of thinking because they're so focused and myopic in their agenda that they don't see the bigger picture. So essentially, that is what they're saying. They're saying it's going to suppress, essentially in Georgia, black voters because black voters can't get IDs. I don't understand that. There might be a lot of people there without IDs. There might be a lot of people without driver's license. If you don't have a driver's license, you get an ID. Go get one. If you don't have one, then you are so actively non-participating. Why should you even vote? If you can't just get state ID like the rest of us, what stops somebody from doing that? States should address that. If there's a problem where people can't get IDs, fix that problem. So, Carpe, one of my favorites here, he brings up this interesting thing. I'm old enough to remember when the MLB was upset that almost the entire Royals team was voted into an all-star game because people were voting multiple times from different accounts. What changed, MLB? That's a true story. You could look that up. That happened. And now they're turning around and saying, oh, this is voter suppression. But they saw the results. Are those the results they want? Do they want people voting for the president multiple times from multiple accounts? Is that how they did it this time? And that's why they're so pissed off that all of these things are going to get shut? That by the time 4 years rolls around, there's going to be checks and balances put in place and they're not just going to be able to do whatever the hell they want with mail-in ballots? I don't know. But they are really arguing against some stupid shit. Delta Airlines blasted Georgia law. It's unacceptable. Forgets that you need a photo ID to fly. So voting is less important than flying. That's okay. There's no logic. Their own rules show why ID is necessary. When things are important, we need to make sure that people are who they are. It's just the way it is. That's the world we live in. The whole post 9/11 world we live in. We need to make sure that people are who they say they are. That's no different than any other place. You don't just, I hope you don't just swipe your debit card and your debit card, bing. Hopefully there's some sort of PIN number involved in the process. Jesus. Crenshaw here, Joe Biden, you going to boycott the Beijing Olympics because of mass genocide? Or are you just into hurting Atlanta small businesses that were planning on the All-Star game? I mean, think about that, man. We've been through a pandemic. Atlanta went through some shit, with the summer of love. No, the summer of peaceful protest, excuse me. And then that action, man. Whatever. But they're going to punish Atlanta because of the Georgia law. But meanwhile, we're going to go to Beijing. Beijing, the place where there's slaves and concentration camps and, they just stripped Hong Kong of its own rights. Now in Hong Kong, if you're not sympathetic to the Communist Party, they just replace you. I mean, I guess that's a step up from killing you, but God only knows what goes on because it's not like they're the most forthright sons of bitches on this planet. Hey, MLB, how many days of early voting are allowed in China? And let's not forget, you can ask these same goddamn questions of the NBA. China, you don't vote. Even if you did, they don't care. But MLB, they sold out over there. The NBA sold out to them. Whatever. That's one of the reasons why I like being a fan of European soccer. Because so far, all I've seen them really take a stand is against racism, and I'm down with that. Whatever. If you guys want to kneel, I don't really care. Because first of all, see, that's the other thing. Not only are there politics on the other side of the pond, so are there anthems. So, I don't have to worry about that. I don't have to watch a game that I've loved all my life, sit here and back a lie. There's nothing suppressive about the Georgia law. It's about protecting election integrity. And sometimes, truth of the matter is, both sides are going to want this. MLB games no longer require ID for buying alcoholic beverages. See, again, if you want to buy a beer, you have to prove your age. The same Democrats faking outrage over the lie that the Georgia election bans water bottles is oddly silent about the disgusting conditions down on the border. Sweep that under the rug. Forget that there's like children being raped, children being thrown into rivers. You can look all this stuff up. I mean, I get it from news sources who are reporting it. So unless they're completely making up a story, and I don't know why the media would make up a story about a poor girl getting gang-ard, because she was in a pack. She was a child trying to flee whatever country she was fleeing, and she got caught by a bunch of assholes. There was a chase on the Rio Grande, and they threw a boy overboard, and there's footage of the Border Patrol saving this girl. But you don't want to address that. You want to deflect on that. But you're going to go on with they ban water bottles. They don't ban water bottles. This is one that I just found really troubling because it's true. Imagine if abusers knew that all they had to do to keep their victims from being admitted to an abuse shelter is to not let them get vaccinated. See? Now imagine if it also kept them from being allowed into a store, a college, or to get a job. It's a weird angle, and I like weird angles, man. But again, they're more worried about the damn vaccination ID than they are about voter ID. Because why? I don't know, other than the fact they don't like the rules being changed so they can't cheat. That's the only logical conclusion. See right here. The Washington Post. Friend to the left. Slammed Biden for the election law. Claims 4 Pinocchios. Bald-faced lies. And Jen Psaki gets up there and they say, are you going to back down? And she says, we're not backing down from anything. Saying that these are Jim Crow laws and saying that they're banning water bottles are just lies. Look up Jim Crow laws. Then you'll see what suppression looks like. Look at the way things were done when he was in office. When he first took over in Senate. Like, dudes, come on. Know your history. Know what real systemic and institutionalized racism looks like. Understand that. Look at the history books and look at what people of color had to face. Remember, they had to sit in the back of the bus. They had white and black only bathrooms and restaurants and parts of town. Like, man, that's not what's going on anymore. It's not what's going on. That's the real Jim Crow. That's the real suppression of voters. That's it. You can look it up. Gooby. Biden's dog major bites another White House employee. I bring this one up because, I read somewhere else and I just found it so amusing that they said if this happened with one of Trump's dogs, we'd have 24-hour news coverage on CNN with Cesar Millan talking about how there's no bad dogs, only bad owners. And I thought, yeah, that's just it, man. But, again, they cover it, but they don't cover it. I love how Gooby's, I'll fucking do it again. Oh, man. He looks more cracked out than his son. Oh, jeez, man. That family. You got sold false goods, man. A lot of Democrats thought you were voting for a moderate because they would hold up his voting record. But the plan all along was to take that dithering old man and just have him sign shit. He's a pawn, dude. You voted for a pawn. I'm sorry, but you voted for a pawn. That's what you did. You got hornswoggled. You got hornswoggled, man. Gooby looks like he's been doing some hornswoggling. Here is another one that just popped up in the last couple of days. Buttigieg or whatever. And I like this guy, a young gay mayor. I'm like, who knows? That's not a bad choice. He's only been a mayor. I mean, how corrupt can he be? Maybe, I don't know. But he pulls up to a parking lot and takes a bike out of the back of some SUVs, right? And then he gets on the bike and rides it the final, 100 yards or something. And the whole time he's pretending like he's biking to work. But they literally drove up in an SUV. And you can find the video. And you can see him taking the bike out. And, I know people are going to slam back with the whole Getz thing. But that's one of those deflections, yeah. Maybe we got a bad apple on the Republican side. We'll find out. You don't want to believe any of the accusers of Cuomo, and you don't want to believe the accusers of, Biden. So, why should we believe anything at this point? I don't know. Maybe we should just all be a bunch of hypocritical liars. Love this one because Joe Biden tried to speak Spanish and blew it. And the crowd outside, you should look this one up. Because I don't cut in the video. Maybe I will. I don't know. It's paying for me to do it. I don't have a lot of time. But anyhow, there's like 13 people at the same. But she mispronounced a Spanish saying, and she's standing in front of something that can best be described as the flag that the Nazis and the Japanese in World War II would have gotten if they really teamed up, like team-ups go nowadays. You know how Brangelina or whatever, you put the two names together. That's their flag. So what I'm seeing, I'm sure it's something else. I'm sure it's not really what it looks like, but there it is. Cisse Pawnware. You guys elected a puppet pawn, man, and his wife is playing right along, but you scorned Melania Trump, who was fluent in multiple languages. You didn't want to have any part of that, man. You didn't want to have any part. You know what? I'm starting to think the left doesn't really want strong women. That's it. They don't like the Candace Owens and the Melania Trumps and this. They don't like Queen Latifah. They want Cardi B and Joe Biden and Pizzacchi and the idiots on The View. The dumbwads, the rich people who sit there and talk about all of these beliefs that they can afford, but the rest of us can't. And they help with the lie. So, whatever. And so the best way to get something done, if you hold near and dear to you that you like to be able anyway. Wow. Stoned as I am, man, I can come across slightly more coherent. But I'm not the president. There's truth in comedy. That's why the left wants to cancel it. Yeah, because a lot of times people can believe one thing but joke about it in a way to show like the flaws or the things that need to be changed. Like, trying to clean up the planet, like the real way of going about it. Not this, California is going to have all electric vehicles by 2035, but we can't even keep the power on. It's already hot, man. I'm already sweating in all this. And it's what, April? It's countdown day. 4, 3, 2, 1. Earth below us drifting. Okay, anyhow. But, comedy often points out things. Even, people like Bill Maher, Chris Rock, people like that. They point out things that they agree with the sentiment, but not the tactics that are being used. And we need more of that because the news is not protecting you. They're lying to you. This is one of my, I've had an on and off again relationship with Tom McDonald. I really like his music. I think he's one of the best rappers out there. Puts his heart right out there. We have differences of opinions every now and then, but his story is my story. Very similar problems, very similar everything. Lots of different things, but whatever. But there's a difference between hate speech and speech you hate. He said it. I'm sure other people have said it too. And because that's a gem. I hope he's the only one who ever said it. But that's what you guys on the left, that's what the left is forgetting. And one thing we got to do is we need to show what we stand for. We need to avoid lying. We need to avoid hypocrisy. And we need to try to coherently get our point across when we agree, but just not with the methods. I agree that Black Lives Matter, but I don't agree with the methods. I don't agree with the organization. I don't agree with the sentiment. Everybody's life. Hijacking it, making it all about one group, it's silly to me. That's the way I see it. But fine. If that's the way you think you need to go about it, fine. Whatever. If it helps, I'm all for it, man. But the way we're going about it, what we have allowed over this summer with like Antifa, and I sort of agree with them too in a lot of things. You know, government is kind of a fucked up entity. You know, that's one of the reasons why I like Trump. He didn't remind me of a politician. And I want more of that. I want more people who come from a business background where false promises and lies will get your business destroyed. And now I know Trump had his issues with all of that. I understand that. I understand that. But I also know that at the end of the day, he wasn't ingrained into this machine they call the swamp. Swamp machine. I want to kick your ass. Whoa. We're going to skip those. There we go. Going into my favorite here. Biden says, I went to a petting zoo yesterday, and Prague says that was an elementary school joke. It's not new, but I just thought it's funny. Arkansas passed this controversial bill to ban chopping off kids' legs if they think they're a mermaid. Oh, man. Babylon Bee. You got to give it up to them. I loved it. I wonder who's really behind all that, because that's, like I always say about political memes, man, that's hilarious, but it's very to the point. This one I just found Trump coming in and finding the Republicans and Democrats sleeping together. It's like, I'm kind of happy because at least the Republicans are the hot chick. I mean, we get that. But, yeah, that's why our boy ain't there. And that's something that, I mean, that's why this giant divide exists, is because the right and the left are a swamp. And Trump exposed some of that. He wasn't without faults. He was an anti-hero. He was a bad guy doing God's work. I mean, not to be biblical, but, whatever, as a TV show. And that's it right there in a nutshell. He exposed the fact that they are in bed together. And that's why we need to start looking at that. In California, we've got businessmen who are going to run for governor. I mean, we need to do something, because the Pelosi, Schumers, oh God, I don't even remember, Mitch McConnell, people like that, their interests lie in their pocketbooks. These spending packages, look at them. They have 4 different things where it's all $100 million. Like, it's obvious that the spending package has not been thought out. It's not targeted. There's no real solid numbers. It's the same thing with the COVID relief bill, which was only 9% for COVID. All the rest of it was pork. Pork is the thing that the government puts in that is way more expensive than it needs to be. And money is siphoned into companies or entities or peoples that benefit the people in power. It's called corruption, and corruption is what ruins other countries. People talk about, well, socialism works in, let's say, Canada or Sweden. Yes. But once corruption enters, that's when it changes. And that's what we see in other parts of the world. Rampant corruption. Nike factory generously offers to house unaccompanied migrant children in their sweatshops. I love this one right here. The Trump sandwich. I mean, that's just genius. I hope that's real. I hope they did that with actual meats. My favorite one of the week. In a push for diversity, military canine units to give equal opportunities to the Chihuahuas. I mean, honestly, like, maybe, I don't know. I don't even think they'd work as like drug sniffing dogs. But, that's what we need to remember. It's not that we disagree with diversity. I'm so diverse and inclusive. It's just ridiculous. I mean, they don't understand the word woke. I said today, the word woke is believing in something false that makes you feel better. It's also lying to yourself. Debbie was woke about her new hairstyle. You know? Everybody's like, you shouldn't have got cut. And she's like, oh, I look awesome. It's like, I know you don't. But she's woke to her haircut. That's what it means. Because you're not looking at the side effects. You're saying, this must happen. But you're not looking at what's around you. You're not playing chess. I don't know what fucking game you're playing. But it ain't chess because you're not looking at what's going around. You're not looking at repercussions. You're not looking at slippery slopes. That's all I really ask. I want diversity. I want people. But I want people to succeed. But I don't want the Air Force allowing a blind guy to fly a plane. If there are reasons why things have to be the way they are, then it has to be that way. If you have to show your ID to vote, show your ID. If you don't got an ID, get one. There's literally nothing stopping you. If you want to vote, vote. For some people it's easier and some people it's harder. Okay, but the same thing is true about getting the hottest new shoes. It's probably easier in some place to get the hot new shoe or the hot trendy thing than in other places. Okay, if you live in a town of 500 people, you know, it might be kind of hard to find certain things. That's why places like Amazon and eBay exist. But if you make the effort to vote, you can vote. That's it. You go in person, you stand in line, you show your ID, they cross you off a list, and you vote, and you can't do it again. I don't get it. If you're not going to be there, fill out an absentee ballot. Submit the documents that they need. Whatever. It can all be done. Nobody's trying to suppress it. Just trying to keep it fair. Just trying to keep it honest. That's it. This is worth way more than America's Got Talent, man. 10 times from every device. You know? But the people out there that are somewhat on my side, just remember, please, man, God's sakes, just stop the lying. Copious.